This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online guitar academy. So delighted to have you joining me. In this quick answer episode, we're going to talk about counting rhythms. So as we get started here, the first thing we're going to look at is counting rhythms where the rhythmic value will always fall on a beat. Or we're looking at it without subdivisions yet. So, for example, we got a whole note. It's worth 4 counts or 4 beats. So when counting a whole note, we could count 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how long that would last. A dotted half note lasts for 3 counts. So 1, 2, 3. A half note lasts for 2, so 1, 2, and a quarter note lasts for 1, so 1. Now, what beat number we use is all determined by the time signature and the actual music we're playing. So some of these rhythmic figures are over here on just sort of this example. We're in 4/4 time, which has 4 beats per measure at the quarter note level. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our beat, and that's the tempo we'll go at right now. What we would then do is with any of these rhythmic figures, we're just going to count them in relation to the beat that they fall on while continuing 1, 2, 3, 4. So the whole note 1, 2, 3, 4 makes sense. We got a half note, we're going to count 1 and 2, but then the next quarter note comes in on beat 3, so we're going to say 3, and then the next one comes in on beat 4, so we're going to say 4. We're going to do that instead of saying like 1, 1. So we're not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 1. We just keep counting the beats of each measure and then putting those values where they fall. So 1, 2 with those quarter notes there, and then 3, 4 for the half note, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of those quarter notes gets the beat that they fall on, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 for those half notes. So we're going to play it, or we would play it or sing it or clap it, depending on the music that we're playing, on the beat that it falls on, but we'll count the other ones because it helps us keep track of where we are in the measure. And then we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. You could clap along with me if you want to. I'm just going to strum these muted strings as I count and then play these rhythmic values just where they fall. So it'd be like this. 1, 2, ready, and we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this example down here at the bottom on the board is in 3/4 time, so only 3 beats per measure. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for each of the measures, and then the values go where they go. So we've got a dotted half note, it's going to get 1, 2, 3. The half note gets 1, 2, and then the quarter note that comes in there is coming in on beat 3. So the count for that one is beat 3. Then we have a quarter note at the beginning of the next measure, it's on beat 1. So we're going to count 1. The half note gets 2 and 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Each of those quarter notes is on one of the beats, and then 1, 2, 3 for that dotted half note at the end. So it'll be like, here we go. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now what we need to look at is what happens when we subdivide the beat with, say, 8th notes and 16th notes or even triplets. Okay, so we'll do subdivisions of the beat then. So our 8th note and 16th note type things, triplets. So with 8th notes, we use the word and, for the 8th note that doesn't fall on the beat. So as soon as we start subdividing the beat, we're going to have figures that don't fall right on the beat, but they fall in between the beat. That's what subdivision means. So the one that falls on the beat, we're going to count that one with whatever beat number we're on. And then the one that falls, or when one falls on an offbeat, we use the word and at the 8th note level. If we go to the 16th note level, we still have the 1 and the and, so we're going to continue to use the and where the subdivision of the 8th note would be, but in between those, the 8th note level spots on the beat and on the and, we use E for the first one and so 1E and 2E and 3E and that sort of thing. When we do triplets, We tend to use the word one and or 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. You can count it in threes. And that's whether it's an eighth note triplet, a quarter note triplet, half note triplet, whole note triplet. I don't know if I've ever seen that, but I have seen a half note triplet on occasion. Quarter note triplets here and there. Eighth note triplets are the most common. And the tripletized figures with the one and or 1, 2, 3, that often gets carried over into 6/8 time 2. So where eighth notes are grouped together in groups of threes, it's not technically a triplet in the same sense of a triplet being superimposed into something like 4/4 time. But in 6/8 we're kind of there all the time. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, or 1 and a 2 and a, or even sometimes in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if you want to count it that way. We're going to look in 4/4 time with these sorts of figures here at the moment. So 4/4 time, to sort of see some examples. We've got the eighth notes in this first measure in the quarter note. So there's still one and, because the first one's falling on the beat and the next one's not. Then 2. Sometimes when you get to the subdivision level with lots of eighth notes or 16th notes, you can continue to subdivide if you want to. Sort of like when we were doing quarter notes and half notes and whole notes, we continue to count the beats even when a whole note was being held. So I could go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I can continue to count that subdivision if it helps me keep track of where these are. Or I could say 1 and 2, 3 and 4, that sort of thing. Then we have a triplet, eighth note triplet. So 1 and as it's coming in on beat 1, and then 2, 3, 4. Or I could say 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Now when subdividing there, I could again continue to count the subdivision as I hold out that dotted half note, so I can keep track of sort of keeping the beat moving consistently. So I could say 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, or 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. Maybe I don't need to do it for the entire dotted half note, but I can do that if I want to. This line we see some practice with the 16th notes. So we got on beat 1, we've got that first quarter note. I could choose to anticipate and start counting at the 16th note level, 1 E and a, so that when I get here 2 E and it's there. Or I can just think 1, 2 E and then I've got an eighth note and 2 16th notes. So I can use the little subdivision, it's sort of in there, the E, if I want to help me keep track of where and comes. So I could go 3 E and or I could go 3 and then I've got 4 E and I could choose to go 4 E and even though this is an eighth note. So these are common rhythmic things that you'll see, and that's why I have it written here. We also have then just the 1, 2, 3, 4 with the half notes there. Dotted quarter note brings in a beat and a half, and so these are always a little bit tricky to count. I can count 1, 2, and then I come in on and 1, 2, and, or I can think 1 and 2 and. So 1 and 2 and. And when first learning, sometimes it's easier to actually subdivide and count the eighth notes out of that dotted quarter note. 1 and 2, and then we'd be in. Then just the 3 and 4, and we've got this time quarter note triplets. So 1 and it's going to take up the space of a half note. 3 quarter notes in the place of 1 half note. And then 3 and 4, and I've got a dotted quarter there. So I can at a minimum count what they're falling on, but usually when we get to the subdividing things, it's easier to help keep track of the beat by continuing to subdivide and then just playing or singing the values where they actually go. Okay, I'll go ahead and count through this and strum where the rhythm happens on the guitar. You can clap along, count along if you'd like to. So here we go. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and a 3 and 4 and. So a couple other little things here to point out. Sometimes we get what are called syncopated figures. That's where we go against sort of the pulse or the beats of the song by doing a lot of offbeat figures, and that sort of skews where the beat is. So probably the most common figure that does that is really this do-dot-dot or do-da-da, where we've got an eighth note followed by a quarter note followed by, and it could be quarter notes for other, one and, because there'd be a quarter note apart, it would feel like you just swapped the beat to one and like that becomes the beat, but it's really the off beat or the part that's in between the beat. So this figure, when counting it, at least when getting started with counting it, you can put in the little subdivision there. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and then I just put a rest there. I haven't included any rests in our counting examples, but rests are counted the same way as the notes. We're just not playing. So 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and rest 4, if you want to say rest where a rest happens. So we'll see a lot of these syncopated figures. If it continued across 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and sometimes syncopated figures will actually go a little bit longer even than this. So I've gone ahead and drawn up here on the board what I was just talking about, where we'd have that continual syncopation. So I've got an eighth note, then the quarter, then the eighth note. It's going to be tied over to the next beat. Usually in something like 4/4 time, we want to see where beat 3 is. It's just so much easier. So we usually are going to see a tie instead of just a string of quarter notes. That helps us know, oh yeah, that syncopation's still happening. Oh, there's beat 3, but I'm not playing on it. I'm continuing over and catching the and of 3, the and of 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and could go on forever. 1 and 2 and 3 and missed the strumming. I did it, but it didn't hit it. But 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and usually will come out of it at some point. So you might see this whole one and one and you might just have a little bit there that throws in a syncopated figure. Okay, so if I look at 6/8 time, then with 6/8 time, we're just going to practice a little bit this, because it's just like the triplets, only it's the whole meter. So usually what we do with like 6/8 time is we're counting in that 1 and 2 and so that tripletized thing. And we're going to see in these rhythms, we'll see the 3 eighth notes beamed together, but you also see a quarter note followed by an eighth note, or an eighth note followed by a quarter note. So 1 and 2 and or 1 and 2 and it can help to continue that subdivision. So 1 and 2 and or 1 and 2 and that sort of thing. Alright, so that wraps us up here with this introduction into counting. Hope that's helpful. Hope you're having fun playing music, and we'll catch you later. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my guitar method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.